Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to our YouTube live show. Today, we'll talk about express entry. What other options do you have? Is there any hope, to be honest with you? If you don't have enough points to receive an invitation in the express entry pool for permanent residency to Canada, meaning that you typically need more than 540 points for the general draws, then or you don't fall under any of the program-specific category-based options, you may feel discouraged about your prospects for Canadian immigration permanent residency, whether you're inside of Canada or outside, because remember, express entry does not matter where you are. Anyone who is eligible from anywhere around the world can apply and enter the pool. But the key question is, the $1 million question is, can you get out of it? So it's like jumping into the swimming pool, but not knowing how to get out of it. And that's the $1 million question. Don't lose hope. There's options, of course, not for everyone, but we'll cover them today. Quick introduction. And of course, this is a live stream, no special effects, no fancy stuff, no editing. This is the exposed truth and nothing but, just like the rest of our YouTube videos. And of course, right after, we're going to cover the questions and comments from our YouTube audience. So who am I? I'm Reza from England, Canada, licensed immigration firm, helping businesses, families, individuals, entrepreneurs, professionals, no matter what your background is, whether you're an artist, whether you're retired, to move across borders. Why are we posting this video? These are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience, including but not exclusive to existing clients, potential new applicants, and immigration agencies and consultants, no matter where you are in the world. If you're thinking about immigrating, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants by filling out the form that we have included in the description of this video. And of course, if you're an active immigration practitioner, we can assist you with outsourcing your back office operations, including assessments, matchmaking of the right programs for your clients, processing them, pre and post landing support, making sure your client is taken care of, and your financial benefits. More options than just Startup Visa Canada. We're a solution provider for Canada, Panama, Portugal, New Zealand, Greece, Dubai, and Malta. Okay, let's jump into it, folks. Increasing your score. So you're an express entry, and then what do, right? What are the options that you have to increase? We'll cover them. You may know them already, but here we go. Number one, of course, the 200-point LMI. And of course, you also have the 50-point LMI option. So if you've got 470, 80 points plus, the 50-point option is definitely viable. If you have below 480 points, the 50-point option will do nothing for you unless you're in a category-based draw, unless you're looking at a specific provincial nominee program that is drawing from the express entry pool, like the human capital stream. But again, those are very occupation-specific. As per the Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations, 82 subsection 1, a valid offer of employment can be either through an LMI or LMI exempt closed work permit, such as significant bilateral agreements between your home country and Canada under the regulations of 205 subsection A or subsection B, which either are for significant benefit or bilateral agreements, meaning Canadians also have access to the same mobility into that home country. Examples include intracompany transfer under these regulations, C10, C11, which are the entrepreneur self-employed programs, as well as other LMI exempt codes. So these codes, these work permits, after working for your company or that business in Canada for a year, can allow you to claim job offer points, whether it's 50 or 200, depending on your position. So if you started your own business, whether you've purchased it or initiated from scratch, you could be eligible to claim 200 points through an LMI exempt or even an LMI offer. This is possible after being on payroll in that company inside Canada for a minimum of 12 months while holding a closed work permit with the name of that company on your work permit. Okay, so here's a quote directly from the ministerial instructions. The foreign national holds a valid work permit issued under the circumstances described in paragraph 204A or C, or subsection 205. The offer is made by an employer who is specified on the work permit and the foreign national works for that employer has accumulated at least 1 year of full-time work experience or the equivalent in part-time over a continuous period of work inside Canada. Your closed work permit may state entrepreneur or not have a knock code at all. However, after the 1 year, whether intercompany transfer C10, C11, or even if you just there as an executive, regular LMIA, based on the size of the business, based on the financial viability of the company, based on your position, your duties, who's reporting to you, is it regular staff or middle managers, you could be eligible to apply for, 200 points under express entry. And of course, number 2 on our list is, of course, an offer by a qualified Canadian employer, right? So if you did an LMI exam, this would be the LMI option, where an existing business does a labor market impact assessment, which is an LMI, meaning that the company wants to hire a foreigner instead of a Canadian because there's no qualified Canadians in the labor force or the labor pool at that moment. And that could also be a 200-point LMIA. It's a NOC 00, a tier level 000 for C-level positions, CEOs, COOs, VP executive, managing directors, and so forth, right? So those could lead to 200 points. If you're going for a lower skill level, regular position, let's say you're a supervisor, that would be 50 points. To obtain an LMI, you need a job offer from a Canadian employer, of course. The employer must demonstrate that there's no Canadian citizens or permanent residents or Aboriginals or applicants who have work permits like refugees to be able to be qualified to fill that position. This involves advertising, job bank, application to Service Canada for the LMIA, and then after it's processed and your name is on the LMIA, you can link it to your express entry profile and claim either the 50 points or the 200 points. What's a third option for you? Well, it's startup visa, right? We know it, we love it. Some of you hate it. It's all over the place. But right now, I'll be very honest with you, everyone. There's not a lot of options. And our company right now at this moment, in terms of Canadian immigration, is purely focusing on startup visa. And if anyone has executive level position in their company or they're employed, to claim the 200 points. Those are the core direct permanent residency. If you don't want to come through a work permit and a very slow process like a provincial entrepreneur program. If you're an entrepreneur with an innovative business idea that is scalable and has significant benefit for Canada, you could be looking at the federal startup visa program for your direct PR, no matter where you are in the world, no matter if you've ever stepped foot into Canada, no matter if you've been refused 3 times or more for visitor visa or whatnot. This program targets immigrant entrepreneurs who can potentially create jobs for Canadians and scale their business and bring benefit to the Canadian economy. To be eligible for startup visa, you need a qualifying business, a letter of support, which is an endorsement from one of the organizations in Canada on the startup visa website of the Canadian government, like a business incubator, a venture capital firm, or an angel investor, but they have to be designated by the government. You need to meet the ownership requirements, secure minimum investment, language requirements, police clearance certificate, medical exam, minimum settlement funds, and so forth. And of course, it's not mandatory, but you do need paid work experience. Education is optional. The SUV program is an excellent option for people who are entrepreneurs or have technical backgrounds and are entrepreneurial or have that spirit. Under the new regulations, certain designated organizations have priority processing, and all of them are capped at 10 groups per year. Each group can compose of 5 co-founders, key main applicants with their dependents, right? This is key. If you're facing challenges, of course, gaining admission to these designated organizations, the key is to reach out, right? And to network. You can even reach out to us as well. We'll guide you in the right direction. Don't leave your express entry pool if you have no realistic options. If you have less than 540 points in the general draws, you don't have a provincial nomination, you're not in a category-based selection, then your chances are slim to none. You do need to be proactive and not just sit in this swamp pool called the express entry with thousands and thousands of applicants just sitting around. If you're thinking about immigrating, whether permanently or temporarily, you're at the right place. We don't offer just immigration, we offer solutions. I can guarantee only one point. I'll be there until the end, meaning that immigration is not perfect, but we'll support you until the end, no matter if it's good news, bad news, or whatnot. You are in full control of which program you want to choose. We give you all the options that you're eligible for. And we're not just talking about Canadian immigration. We're talking about Portugal, Europe, Malta. We're talking about New Zealand. We're talking about Panama, Dubai, USCB5, even green cards. We have a $1 million liability insurance, which protects you and us from fraudulent mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with the Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 10 languages, and I'm not kidding. We've helped applicants from over 55 different countries during the immigration process, no matter where they're going. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants only, because right now we're only doing business and investment migration. If you're ready to apply and want a one-on-one session with me or one of my colleagues, you can also book using the consultation link down below, or tune in live to our YouTube live stream every Thursday or any day of the week by subscribing and be notified so you can test us in terms of our knowledge. Okay, we got a bunch of questions. Thanks for joining us today. Salome Costecho, I remember last week you were the first one there. I hope you're still watching, by the way. I'm not sure if you... hi Reza, on your experience, what is currently approval rate for SUV? Have you received any PRs recently? So Salome, so it's interesting. Yeah, we received all the PRs till like February, and then there was a gap, March, April. There has been, based on the feedback from different agencies and our audience here, there have been trickling in permanent residencies since March, April till now. However, a lot of our clients right now are in the process, that final stage to get that PR. So they've been waiting because, as I've said many times in our previous lives and videos, the IRCC has internally mutated. Okay, maybe that's too drastic. It's changed, transformed, transformed into a butterfly. Yeah, no, I think they've mutated. They're definitely not a butterfly, into a new processing. And they haven't communicated this to anyone. And we don't know how they're doing it, right? So it's put a little bit of a pause for all the people getting their PR. So we've got groups and groups of clients waiting, even some audience members. But I believe in September onwards, because now it's like holiday season. Who knows? Your officer may be on vacation in Cuba. Who knows? Basically, the PRs are trickling in, but not at the same level as they were before. However, the general approval rate, Salome, so when we first started this program, was 50%. Then it became around 65%. Now it was around 70 to 75%. But now we have to look for the new approval rates based on the new changes that were announced as of April 30th, 2024. So we won't know what the new approval rates will be maybe till Q1 of 2025 to see what's happened since May until December of this year, 2024. And if you're watching this in the future, hello, people in the future, you probably know by now what the approval rate is. But I expect it to be hovering anywhere around 70%. And remember, it doesn't mean you have a chance of 70. This is the aggregated general. It's kind of like all these students that apply for like a high-end university like Berkeley, or even University of British Columbia or whatever, for one of those competitive programs. There's thousands of people that apply, but not everyone gets approved, right? It's not that you did something wrong. It's just it's very competitive. However, instead of visa, it's that people have a lot of technical refusal. So they don't have the eligibility. They don't have the minimum settlement funds for 6 to 12 months in their account. They don't have the proper language, or maybe there's a medical issue. Maybe they missed something. Maybe somebody left the group or was refused. So one person in the group is essential. They were refused. The whole group is wiped out. So 50% of the refusals, so let's say around 2025, are technical refusals. They're not because, hey, your business sucks and I'm doing wrong. Remember, these officers are not trained. They've never owned a business. These officers who are doing startup visa, they've never managed a business. They've never invested in a business. Maybe if they're lucky, they invested in, I don't know, the NASDAQ or Toronto Stock Exchange or the S&P 500, if they're savvy. They've never managed, ran. They have no entrepreneurial spirits because they're just sitting in an office processing paperwork. So they are completely clueless. And in case you're watching IRCC, no offense, but running and managing a business and being able to assess a startup and the viability of it is not IRCC's job. And of course, they've outsourced that to the designated organizations like the business incubators, the venture capital. But like everyone knows, and I've probably said this a million times, they don't trust each other. It's like, when like a couple gets a divorce and in many cases they hate each other, they're like literally kill each other. And that's kind of what we see the relationship with the designated organizations and IRCC. On the surface, so it's kind of like they have kids together, but they hate their guts. That's what it is. On the surface, they're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're changing the program, blah, blah, blah. But then they don't trust a bone in any of these designated organizations. And no offense to the designated organization, no offense to IRCC, but that's what the relationship is. Come on, folks. Don't fool yourselves. Okay, doesn't mean that you're going to get refused because you're endorsed by these bodies. Well, that's what you need to be eligible for this program. Point being, the officers doing the assessments now, and they don't trust the designated organization to do the assessments on the viability of the business, whether it's scalable, genuine enough, the intentions are there, and it will succeed in Canada. So they're doing it on their own because they don't trust the organizations that have endorsed them, but they're not even, the IRCC officers are not trained in any way. They haven't owned or managed or invested or done anything. I doubt they even had a lemonade stand when they were 6 years old, right? So how are they positioned to actually make decisions on startups, whether the intention is, sure, you can check the eligibility. Yeah, this person has an IELTS, the minimum settlement funds, the black and white stuff like admissibility, medical, criminality, international security, right? Eligibility. But then in terms of the business intentions, the genuineness of the business, the viability, is it scalable? Is it genuine? Do you have intellectual property? All that sort of stuff. They suck at it, right? And that's why we get this 70% approval rate right now. However, if you know what you're doing, you have the questions in advance of what the IRCC officers will ask you. And we have those. And not that I know anyone in IRCC, I've just extracted it because, like I said, they don't know what they're doing. So they've got a slew of questions that one of them came up with, who knows, and they just copy paste. Folks, all those refusal letters you get for visas and study permits, and it's the same damn thing, the generic one. Well, it's the same thing with the questions IRCC officers ask you a year later, 10 months to 15 months later after you've submitted your PR. They'll ask this and that and that and that to see the viability, the genuineness, and the progress of your startup. Do you have truly the genuine intention to come and operate and manage this startup business inside Canada? And they just copy paste it. So if you have those and you know what you're doing and you've got experience or somebody representing you, hint, hint. No, I'm just kidding. Then of course, you're going to be in that approval rate. But if you have no clue and you're just a laboratory mouse for the agent who's introduced you or you're doing it on your own, sure, it's a 50-50. You might get through, you might not. So that's where it is. Let's jump more. That was the first question, Salomon. Good question, by the way. Rasul Torkzadeh, we are waiting. Yes, I was late today. I do apologize. Chanakya Batra, hi Reza. What are your thoughts on the expression of interest in Alberta starting from September 30th? Is it for good or is it going to be more hard for people to get a pure Alberta, especially cooks in rural renewal? Okay, this is my 2 cents on the matter, and we internally made a decision in the company on the Alberta program. It will be very difficult. The expression of interest means there's going to be points. How are the points going to be slewed? And folks, you got to be realistic. Do provinces actually make up their own points? Do they actually genuinely come up with stuff? Of course not. And if you don't know Canadian immigration, then newsflash, that's how it works. They just copy paste from other provinces. So the federal government will copy paste from other countries, and then the provinces will come up with something, and then they'll copy paste from each other internally. So it's going to be very similar to the Saskatchewan program, Manitoba program. It's all going to be points. And what is it going to be skewed towards? people with ties to Alberta, people working for the employer already in Alberta, people with serious ties to Alberta. So it will be biased. Therefore, if you're outside of Alberta and you have an offer of employment, you're going through the rural renewal or whatever, all of the systems are going to be points, and it's going to be difficult. That's the reality. So Alberta was one of the best places. Now it will just become like everywhere else. So what's left, folks? Can I hear it? What's left in skilled immigration that will get you in without points? What's left in the whole country? Tell me. Come on. A few guesses here. Yeah, well, it's the Atlantic Immigration Program. However, we predict that program will change end of this year or beginning next year as well. Okay? So, hi Reza, this is Nashwan Ali. Hey Nashwan. What are your thoughts on the EOI in Alberta? No. Hi Reza, what is the expected timeline to get final decision after receiving a permanent file number for those applying for PR under SUV? Normal route. Right now, Nashwan, I will stop commenting on that because until we see that bottleneck opening up and all those people with the PR, under process pre-arrivals or they were under review by IRCC officers, until they get their PR, we cannot predict how long it's going to take. Because of the internal changes, there's no way to predict right now if it's going to be 2 months, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay? No way. I will completely stop predicting how long it will take. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. And I think that I'm doing everyone a favor of not trying to predict, because right now with all those changes that happen, there is no consistency in the processing times. We will know, when we'll know early next year. What is the standard processing now for priority, non-priority, and the timelines for startup visa? Nashwan Ali, can background checks for those nationalities take more than 1 year or even years, or it just takes several months? Well, depends on the nationality, Nashwan. This is a great question. We've had clients that have waited over a year for security checks, international checks, because of the relationship with the countries. And we've had clients who've had it in a couple of months and it's done, right? Angel, good morning from BC. Finally, a permanent resident. Oh my God, Angel, congratulations. I hope you had a smooth landing. Your card should be available in the next 1 to 2 months. It'll be posted to your address. Congratulations. You are now a Canadian and you have to pay taxes. No, I'm just kidding. But good to see you, Angel, and I'm glad you came through. Angel is a survivor, folks. If you're thinking about startup visa, Angel is a survivor. And Angel, if you want to be interviewed on SUV Survival Series, send me an email. I'm going to put our company email here, folks. If you are a survivor and you have a confirmation of PR and you have landed, we want to interview you. We want to hear the true story, behind the scenes, expose the SUV survivors. Kehinda Fafovara. What is the processing time for PR after gaining Canadian work experience? Well, it depends which program you're applying, Kehinda, right? If you're doing, let's say, express entry, it's usually 6 months, right? After you've received an invitation to apply. If it's provincial nominee, well, it depends how long it'll take you to get a nomination certificate. It could be 4 to 6 months. Some provinces are going towards 9 months these days if you're not in a priority occupation. And then the federal stage could take 12 to 18 months, depending on that. So it really depends on which program. Just gaining Canadian work experience by default doesn't give you a permanent residency. Punit Chalana, hi, when will the Frankophone community immigration pilot be launched? I believe in the next 60 days. I believe September to November, we're going to see a lot of new program launches, everyone, whether it's the new caregiver opening up, whether it's the new rural northern immigration pilot in combination with the Francophone mobility being combined for the rural communities. So I believe September to November is the timeline to watch out for these new programs. Tosin Waidi, I'm enjoying your session from Ontario. I have a quick question. My company got me an LMIA. And with LMIA, they applied for a work permit from me, but the application has not been approved yet. But I enjoy your program. Can I include the LMIA number into my express entry with my work permit extension still in process? So if you have a work permit that was valid working for this employer and you applied for this new work permit before the previous work permit was expired, and you're working for the same employer and it's the LMI is the same employer, then yes, you can claim points because you have the possibility to actually perform the work. The officer cannot, unless you refused. Okay. So yes, you can technically if the conditions I just said are met. Puneet Chala will be from to session. TT McCroy, hey. TT McCroy, can I apply for PR and study permit at the same time from outside Canada? Yes. It's mutually exclusive, but you do have to declare. So let's say you apply for a study permit. In your PR application later, you do have to declare all the visitor visas, study permits, work permits, refusals, approvals, vice versa. If you have a PR application on a process, you're applying for a visitor visa, study permit, or work permit, you have to declare that PR application, and you call it dual intent. There's regulations regarding that. And what are the ways to do this? It's just mutually exclusive, two different applications, but you have to declare each, like on the forms that you have applied for the other. Or I mean immigration programs. Yes, you can apply for immigration program. Do you think Atlantic immigration will be a good idea to apply for PR after 2 years? Yes, if you're in the Atlantic province, that is one of the best programs that still exists in Canada. And we're not sure if it still will exist in 6 to 12 months. It will, but we're not sure about the changes. I believe there will be a cap that will be announced with the AIP. That's my prediction, folks. And we are on August 15th, 2024, but I believe the AIP will have a cap. So by next summer, it could be in place. I could be wrong, but usually I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but anyways. Let's say TT McCroy. Is it possible for Syrians to get PR? So TT McCroy, Canadian government doesn't officially discriminate, like ban anyone from applying for PR. So that's the advantage of Canada. Unlike Portugal and some European countries, even Malta or wherever, or even US, where nationalities are restricted for permanent residency or temporary residency. With Canada, they know. So if you're applying for study permit, work permit, visitor visa, yes, they are so biased. They're full of discrimination because that will be high refusal from these nationalities. Syrians, Cubans, Venezuelans, Iranians, North Koreans, from Africa. We have a lot of refusals depending on the profile of the applicants. Middle East, Dubai, especially if you're not just a kid who graduated from high school and going to university, if you're a mature student or a mature person coming over and you don't have travel history. So there is discrimination, but with permanent residency, you're at the same level as an American or somebody from Australia applying for permanent residency. It's eligibility, admissibility. That's it. That's it. So it doesn't matter if you're Syrian, American, South African, Mexican, Colombian, right? Japanese, Russian, it's the same. You have the same chances. Because your country something's happening politically, does not mean Canadian immigration will change the regulations or change your eligibility or admissibility. And that's the beauty of Canada. There's only 2 countries that allow permanent residency. So I'm not talking about Dubai here. Talking about permanent residency that could lead to citizenship, that do not discriminate for the permanent residency programs against if you're Russian, Iranian, Syrian, wherever, Zimbabwean, wherever, right? Venezuelan, Cuban, we know the countries, right? Where people don't have a choice. There's only 2 countries in the Western Hemisphere. 1, Canada. 2, Panama. And those are the 2 programs that we are doing regularly. Samin 1346. If the immigration officers don't know anything about business and investment, just close all those categories. Significant benefits, different meaning to different officers. Of course, Samin. However, they copy paste. So supervisors, expense officers will just train them, and then they'll just do like minions. They'll just do what they want to do. And then they'll use their little imagination. So the key in a successful application in anything is not to give room to think to the officers. You have to spoon feed them in everything. Exactly. This is why, this is how, this is the supporting document. You have to spoon feed them. If you give them runway or flexibility to interpret what you've submitted or what you've written in your application, for them to starting using their brain, that's when you're in trouble. Okay? No offense to IRCC officers watching this. I love you guys. And you know, whether you're a woman or man, I love you all. But come on, you know it, I know it. You've got hundreds of files on your file and you got to go through them, whether it's in a computer. I would do the same thing. If I was in IRCC, I'd just be like clicking the mouse. Okay. Yeah, I don't like this person. Refuse. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm going to refuse this person. Copy, paste, stupid letter. And now they don't even put proper notes in the GCMS notes, right? When you do the Access to Information Privacy Act. So literally you're getting nothing out of this black box. I think in the next 10 years, we're not going to have even humans processing these because it's all AI now, right? And I think they're just going to eliminate it. It's going to be AI, and the AI is going to be like you, don't like you, like you, don't like you. And they're going to, use AI algorithms. Wow, that's even going to be worse, right? At least you get human error sometimes now and you get an approval on something. But with AI, you're not even going to get human error and get a nice, lucky approval. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on the matter. Please don't quote me. Mohammed Shirazi. Hi, Raza. Great to see you live. Finally, internet is back in my country. Political turmoil over. Okay, that's good news, Mohammed. Good to see you as well. Me and Nida will be setting for self-pip test on the 18th. Good news. If you can, just email my office, me, and just let them know so they can just keep track of that and be in touch with you. Thanks, Mohammed. I'm glad you have internet. I'm glad the turmoil is over. And we know in different parts of the world, no matter what nationality you are, there's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world. But hey, we're not here to fix it. We're here to get you out, right? So remember, folks, politicians try to fix things, and that's when things go south. But then people like me get you out, and that's how we save you, your family, your future generations. Okay, we got another question from TT McRoy. So, is it hard to get a study permit for Syrian living in Dubai and have 10 years residency visa and working in Dubai? Yes, if you're not young and your education gap is wide, you're a mature student, yes, I would say it's extremely difficult to the point that I wouldn't even touch it or try it. But it's up to you. It doesn't hurt to try, but it depends what you're looking for. Punit Shalana, which is the better option? Express Entry Investment, RINP. Okay, RINP is not investment, the Rural Immigration Northern Pilot Program, but that is one of my favorite programs. If you have enough points in Express Entry, it's the fastest, it's the best, but most people don't. So the RNIP I recommend or AIP, Atlantic, are the best. The investment programs like Starter Visa are good too, right? But everything else sucks. Mohammed Shirazi, any idea when will be the next draft of Express Entry, those who will be applying for outside of Canada? What are the cutoff scores now? Well, right now, we always use 540 as a general rule of thumb. However, the next draw we expect anytime between September to November. But again, this is just estimation. However, we have to keep on monitoring. Okay, folks, if there's no more questions, we're going to sign off. Come back here next week. Of course, answering your questions, talking about various immigration. In the month of September, we're going to have live streams about non-Canadian immigration. Yeah, folks, there is a world outside of Canada. There are other options for you, okay? Of course, we will still continue to do investment and business migration for serious professionals and entrepreneurs and businesses to come into Canada. But we are not doing education anymore or skilled worker programs or regular LMIs if they're not 200 points with your business or the business you're investing in. Okay? Folks, thanks for joining us. Mohammed Shirazi, great to see you. I'm glad you got internet. Samin 1346. I know you're angry at IRCC, but most people are. Titi McRoy, great seeing you. Tosin Vaidi, thank you for joining us. Kehinda Angel, if you want to be on the SUV Survival Series interviews, tell your story the way it was meant to be. Like 60 Minutes, you know that show? think it's like an American Australian show. Nashvan Ali Chanakia and Salome Costecho, who always has the first question, and especially in the last Tuesday, and Rasul Turkzadeh, who was eagerly awaiting us, and we were late, and I apologize for that. Prophetess Machukuvu, Oracle of God, I'm sorry that your name is sort of sort of abbreviated. How can we apply? I don't know what that means, prophetess. Unfortunately, that's too general. You'd have to go through an assessment. You have to go look at the programs and see which one you're eligible for, and then put your documents together, and that would be the process. TT McCroy, I wanted to complete my studies because I'm planning to apply for a study permit. I'm 25 years old and I finished my bachelor 2 years ago. So it's not bad. So they're going to look at your financials. They're going to look at your ties to your home country, TT McCroy, if you're Syrian. They're going to look at your travel history and who's paying for it. So it's going to be scrutinized. You could look at a judicial review in case you're refused. So definitely possible. I would say TT McCroy 25 is definitely better than 35. However, you need a rock solid application. I'll be very honest with you. Folks, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Take care. And we'll see you next week. Subscribe to our channel if you want to know when we're online, when we're releasing new videos, when we're live and we're answering your questions and comments. TT McCroy, no problem. See everyone later. Take care. Bye-bye.